Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to NEDRA's second public meeting. I want to thank everybody here for coming along tonight and sparing their time. There is a couple of housekeeping issues before we get into the main meeting. If you could please turn your telephones off or switch them to silent, that would be grateful. The toilet facilities are at the back of the room on the left-hand side, and the fire exits are to my left and right, and also at the back of the room. We will be recording this meeting for distribution to those who weren't able to make it tonight. So just so you're aware of that. And there will be an opportunity to ask questions, but we would please ask you to use the microphone when you do that so that everybody has a chance to hear what your question is. Thank you. Right. Find the necessary. Whoops. Before we actually get into the main part of the meeting, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the volunteers that helped us distribute the leaflets in Edenbridge, and also for those helping us here tonight. I think this full turnout is a testament to the hard work that's gone into doing this, and we very much appreciate that support and help. I'd also like to say thank you, while I've got this opportunity, to the Town Council, to the Rotary Club and the WI, and all volunteers who put on such a wonderful D-Day afternoon celebrations for the less mobile and the elderly, together with the D-Day celebrations. They were absolutely fantastic, and the work that's put into holding these events is absolutely immense, so thank you to everybody involved in that. I'm going to very briefly introduce NEDRA because there will be people here tonight that weren't at the previous meeting. NEDRA stands for the New Edenbridge District Residents Association, and we formed in February of this year in response to Regulation 18, which was run around December 2023. There was widespread discontent in social media about Regulation 18. And a lot of people felt that it was disproportionate and inappropriate level of housing planned for Edenbridge. People didn't think it was fair. It appeared to be a done deal and all the sites predetermined. The clarity of the options was confusing and divisive. And the sheer volume of information associated with those documents and were vast and complex, and the terminology would not be familiar to a lot of people in this room. So a much greater period of consultation we felt was necessary. And many people didn't actually know about the consultation. I think there's probably people in this room today who didn't know that there was a Regulation 18 consultation over Christmas. And while the council did their best to reach the community, the time was far too short, and it didn't give them enough time to get the message out to everybody. It takes a lot of time. We know from putting this meeting on that it takes a lot of time to get the messages out. So following that, one of the members, our current members, called together a group of people and asked us whether we'd be interested in forming a residents association, and NEDRA was born. So our aims are to listen to and communicate with residents about issues facing the town, to challenge the disproportionate developments in the local plan, and to fight for the infrastructure to support proposed large-scale building plans, and to support initiatives that improve the services for the community. And I know there's a lot of people besides us in Edenbridge who have the same aims as us, so it's trying to work together to get the best results. We have been busy in a number of different areas, and there's some display boards at the back of the room which show you a little bit more about what's going on and what we've been doing. And we will also be launching a website. It's in its infancy, but we've started it. And there's some information on that, but it's actually www.nedra.org.uk, and we will be updating that website with information about what's going on in the town and what's currently happening on the 2040 plan. The format of tonight's meeting We're just going to start with a little bit of feedback on the topics that were discussed at the last meeting. We're going to keep those as brief as possible because we have the pleasure of inviting a guest speaker, Richard Knox Johnson, Chairman of the London Greenbelt. So there'll be an opportunity to ask him questions after his presentation, and time permitting to ask questions of us, but we'll just have to see how the meeting goes through. But we will be around after the meeting to answer questions if anybody has them. There's also a feedback box at the back of the room, and we'd be grateful if you've got questions, if you've got issues that you want to raise, then please do fill those forms in and put them in the box. We will be going through them. And if you want to give us feedback on what you'd like to see in a meeting or hear in a meeting, we'd appreciate that too. So I'm going to hand over to Debbie. She's going to go through the first of the issues that we had last time.
Good evening. I'm not going to freak out at how many people are here, it's fine. Okay, so the first, we had some core issues that we spoke about last time. How many of you were in our last meeting? So quite a few of you, okay, great. So one of them was the new Edenbridge medical practice. So what we've done since then is NEDRA collated a whole bunch of what everyone was saying. So from Facebook and from talking to them and from emails and all the rest of it. And we created a feedback form that was not just moaning, it was also ideas and solutions, some ideas and solutions. We presented that to the League of Friends and the patient participation group, and then they presented it to the medical practice. So that was well received. Pleased to say, and obviously Rome wasn't built in a day, so not everything on the list has been taken care of, but our combined efforts have led to some positive changes. So there has been more clarity on extended hours, because that was always offered, but it wasn't particularly clear. So early morning or evening appointments so that people know about them. Some of the closures were sprung on us a bit, like on social media. By the way, we're closed today. So there's more clarity on that now, and they're going to put a list of dates and times on their website. People were struggling with the booking system, and we were particularly worried about sort of the perhaps older people or people who might be a little bit digitally excluded. And so the PPG, the Patient Participation Group, are going to source a laptop, and they will have a receptionist who will be helping people who struggle. So that's good. And the surgery opening hours have been changed from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. I'm sure the medical practice will not thank us for that, but thank you very much to them. They've also granted, this isn't, like I say, it's combined, this isn't all us, by the way. Permission has been granted for notice boards for the League of Friends and the Patient Participation Group, so that people are clear who to contact if they've got issues, which is good. And there's a feedback box and forms in reception, so people can privately feedback as well. So we would encourage people to use those, because if you don't speak up, as lovely as Facebook is to have a moan, it's better to actually talk to the right people. They have also, the medical practice have also launched the new practice newsletter, which was very good actually. We shared it with our membership list. I hope you all got it. I'm not going to go through all of it. It was about 4 pages long, I think. 1U is a completely free 12-week program, so that's something to take advantage of. Weight, physical health, mental well-being, that sort of thing. The League of Friends have funded the new check-in machine at the medical centre. When you go in and you can just say, oh, this is my name and my postcode or whatever. And that stops, obviously, build-up of queues, which is great. And in the newsletter, they thank the Patient Participation Group for working with them as they transitioned across. That was not easy for them to do. They still have, obviously, teething problems. Things aren't perfect. We're not being Pollyanna about it. But they are working on these things, and hopefully, together, we're going to make that better. Okay. Policing in Edenbridge. Okay. One of our members attended the Edenbridge Town Council meeting on the 1st of July and said a police officer updated the council and said they had taken their eye off the ball in Edenbridge, which I thought was brave of them to say, and they hope to relocate the police fast action response from Swanley to Tunbridge, which should reduce the time. Well, I did a Google search. Okay. At the moment, we're going to I'm going to ask what difference that's going to make. Maybe it does, right? There might be a back route I don't know about. But the good news is we do now have 2 dedicated beat officers, and that is Progress, PC Kemp, and how do you say Maunsell? Is it Maunsell? Yeah. So it's Progress, right? This is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Forgive me, you can tell when I've done the slides. So I had a chat with the Crime Commissioner for Kent, Matthew Scott, on Facebook. And he was talking about a new initiative in the top 25 hotspots in Kent for antisocial behaviour and violent crime. So he basically came back and said to me that we are not in those top 25, which we're grateful for, right? We don't want to be. But, you know, obviously we have seen an improved police presence. Have you guys noticed it? I mean, we did have a few problems recently. And we've definitely seen more police around. No, nobody. Okay, well, I've seen a few. And that happened literally after this situation that I've put at the top of the slide. I did ask on Facebook what the strategy is. Should 1,534 new homes in the 2040 local plan go ahead in Edenbridge? Because we don't want to become a crime hotspot. I didn't really get an answer to that on Facebook, which is fair enough, because I was hijacking his post. So, but we will be writing to him to ask him for an official response on that. The lovely Tom. Okay. Before the snap general election, which was most inconvenient, was called, we met with Tom. He met us at Costa, and we spoke to him about some of the core issues. And in relation to policing, he said he was going to have a chat with Chief Inspector Elizabeth Jones, and he was going to discuss policing with her. He obviously been around for a while, and he remembered discussions originally when the police station was closed, and promises that there would be a permanent presence here, which we don't have. So he was going to follow up on those, and we're going to follow up with him now that the dust is settled. He was going to come tonight, but, you know, there's some King's speech or something going on. So, you know, we'll let him off. Right, our favourite subject, here we go. So we do have news on this. We keep an eye on the meetings that go on at SDC. And the meeting on the 11th of July, the news was that Regulation 19 has been slightly delayed. There is a new timeline, which you can see on the screen. So it's looking like over winter for that to come back, although the next slide will show you that's more like January, February. Submission before June 25, and examination 25, 26, etc. I won't go through the whole slide. Big caveat, we do have a new government. They are making new plans. It might change stuff. So, and they have already said they're going to change the MPPF, so, and probably some planning rules as well. So we'll have to see. If anything, though, SDC did say that they were pretty much in alignment with a lot of what the government are saying. So we'll have to wait and see. I've done that. Sorry, I should have shown you that slide, shouldn't I? Delayed. Okay. So this is. So the reason why it's been delayed is obviously the local plan is massive. It takes a lot of work. You know, they've spent a lot of money on it and all that sort of thing. And they have to engage various consultants and agencies and stuff. So some of those reports are not ready, and they won't be ready until the end of the year. They're ensuring the evidence is robust, which we're glad about, you know, flooding, transport, visual impact assessments and bits like that. And this one I wasn't very clear on. The engagement with infrastructure providers cannot progress until there's a final list of sites. I suppose it does make sense, actually, because they need to know what they're going to provide infrastructure for. And it looks like the final draft is going to go to the Development Conservation Advisory Committee in December, with a consultation of January, February 2025. So they have learnt not to do it over Christmas, which we're very pleased about as well. So obviously we'll keep you posted. Now, the 2040 plan is still up there. For those of you who have not had a chance to look at it, it's huge, and now's a good time to do that, because we will be showing you, and obviously the council will be helping as well. They'll be doing bits, and there'll be consultations and boards and all that sort of thing. But we'll be putting stuff on our website about I think there's 4 things that you can answer. It's not like last time. There are 4 tests of soundness, right? So there's a very specific way you have to do it. So we will watch this space. Oh. Is this right? I thought, are you next? Over to Salam.
Once she gets up there, she hogs the microphone.
Oh, no, sorry, I think it's
Wants it all. Okay. One of the subjects we talked about last time was the war memorials. Obviously, this is a very sensitive and quite a passionate subject for a lot of people. So basically, the custodianship of the war memorials is held by NHS Properties Limited and not the Town Council. So it's NHS Properties who've assured the Town Council that they're keen to make sure that a suitable solution is found, ensuring the security and future of those war memorials. I mean, currently under the current NPPF, there is a requirement or a stipulation saying what local councils should consider. So in considering any applications to remove or alter historic statues, plaques, memorials or monuments, whether listed or not, local planning authorities should have a regard for the importance of their retention in situ, and where appropriate, explaining their historic and social context rather than their removal. So therefore, the first step in this process is for NHS Properties to establish whether the developers coming onto that site, how are they going to accommodate the war memorials, what will be their proposals. And really, until the council and we get feedback on that, there is no possibility, we can't speculate where they're going to be located. And no final decisions have been made, despite all sorts of rumours flying around. No decisions have been made. So once those decisions, or once they get to that point, there will be an opportunity for stakeholders to consult with the council and with NHS Properties, but that is not the appropriate time, is not now. Okay, so NEDRA have been in contact with NHS Properties Limited, and we were granted access to the site recently. I personally visited the site together with Anna Griffin, who's a long-time campaigner for the hospital and the war memorials. And we can report that they are protected on site, 24/7 security, so their safety is assured. They are intact, but unfortunately and very sadly, they're very, very neglected. So that is our war memorials as they currently stand, okay, which is quite shocking. So following that, I've contacted NHS Properties again. I also spoke to the Town Council briefly and asked whether they were okay with us doing this, but I've contacted NHS Properties and requested that a small working party of volunteers should be allowed access to that site once a month, and that on a pre-agreed date so that we can tidy and care for them. And we are actually asking residents here tonight if there are any volunteers who would join that working group to help maintain the war memorials. There's a list at the back of the room, and if you can spare a few hours, it would be appreciated. I will then have to make contact with you just once I know whether it's possible for us to do that. I understand from an NHS Properties that they're discussing that at the moment. But we've also been assured by the council that everybody involved is seeking for the best solution and that they will be accessible for the Remembrance Service this year. So we will continue to monitor that situation, but that's where we are on that particular one. So, okay, we touched on this slide when we had our last meeting, and it was the shocking facts of how many storm spillage overflows of sewerage were ending up in the River Eden, which shocked us all. Since then, Penny Brook, who's our biodiversity champion, has been in contact with Southern Water to ask them what measures they are taking to reduce those spillages into the River Eden, and what are they doing to support the additional pressure of the 2040 plan. They have replied, and they have said that they have launched a Clean Rivers and Seas plan, which promises increased investment and sets out an action plan. One of the main issues is surface water getting into the sewerage system. The report states that rainwater from rooftops and roadways forms the bulk of the sewerage system intake, which is a major concern for residents of Edenbridge, when building on the scale proposed on our floodplains. So it is a big issue for us. Ironically, one of the measures that Southern Water is testing is to install nature-based solutions, such as wetlands, rain gardens, trees, and greening our high streets to separate surface water and divert it back into the environment. The very things that obviously development is taking out. Southern Water have submitted their plan to NEDRA, and this will be reviewed alongside the Environment Agency. In October of this year, we will be receiving a presentation from Southern Water on the measures they're undertaking, and we'll update you on the dates on that shortly. So I'm handing back to Debbie. It's her game.
Hello again. Okay. So, who's heard about the Four Elms site? Yeah, most people. Okay. This has recently changed from 340 homes to 443 homes. We had a meeting with Provision on Monday. Not personally, I didn't. I was busy making the website, but Sally-Ann was there, and it was very interesting. So they explained, obviously, most of you seen the consultation online? Yeah, has anybody not seen it? Okay. At the back of the hall, on the big blue thing, it'll show you where to go and see what they're proposing and stuff. Okay, so that will help you. So, anyway, so basically they're going to move the school. It was, you see on this one here on the left-hand side, that brown building. This little thing should work. Oh yeah, cool. There. And then they're moving it now to the front of the site because it means that they would be able to build it quicker, in theory. Okay. So they haven't got all the other building work to go on. I've highlighted over here. This thing's not working, rubbish. Okay, at the bottom, you see where the red is around those areas? That is where the new housing will be. Yeah, and you see there, it finished at the line before. And worryingly, there's 2 bits of green space next to it, and I'm not sure why. I'm hoping that doesn't mean more homes later, but we'll have to ask about that. It was also interesting to note that the number of homes I think that were displaced, let's see if I got this right, 25? About 25. Moving the school, 25 homes were displaced, and yet we've ended up with 103 more. So that's interesting. So this is a map from, I think it's the GIS on Sevenoaks, with the flood zone. What you're seeing there is flood zone 2. And if this thing does, yeah, see there, that funny shape there is the same as this funny shape here. So basically, part of that is potentially in flood zone 2. And flood zone 2 also runs into flood zone 3. Now we have been assured that there are all sorts of like ponds and suds and all sorts of different things that will mean that that doesn't flood. I'm just going to leave that there. Okay. The next site. And I'm not just going to be negative about this. There are good things about the site, okay? I'll get to that in a minute. So this is interesting. You see here, you've got like a red outline. That originally, that land there, the top and a little bit there, belonged to KCC originally. And the bit in the blue there, I believe that's roughly right, is a conservation site and receptor site. And that was part of something called a Section 106, which is like a legal document. I believe that was in place when the medical centre was built in Bray Road and around there. And that looks like it has been honoured, which is good, right? They have had to put a road through it, they tell us, you see here, through the tree line, because of emergency services and things like that, which I guess does make sense. And also in yellow there are all the trees with tree protection orders on them, okay? Yeah? We're going to keep a very close eye on that. There was a situation recently at Spittles Cross, where I think they're moving the playground, and there was a slight Sorry? They demolished it. Yes, okay, oh dear. They're supposed to be moving it. And they had a slight panic that they hadn't measured something properly and cut down a bunch of trees. And, you know, they had nesting birds in there, and some people got quite upset about that, you know. It's like little birdies flying around going, where are my babies? And, you know, so but that was erased, and I think we've taken that somewhere, didn't we? What did we do with that?
Yes, we've got in contact
Yeah, contact's been made about that. Okay. So yeah, we don't want that happening here, and we'll be keeping a close eye on that. So we do have a couple of concerns. I mean, we haven't got a long time tonight. We've got an esteemed speaker with us, so there's a lot I could say. At the back, there's a bit more information. Please go on the site and have a look. There are good things that have been promised as well, right? And if you go onto the site, you will see what those are. But we do have some concerns, mainly around the school, really, was one of them. This is, this was, one of our members gave us this, actually. It was a Freedom of Information request. And it was in 2021, to be fair. I will move on to something more recent in a minute. And just some quotes from the letter. And that's at the back of the hall as well, on the blue thing, if you want to read the whole letter. KCC highlighted the issue of sustainability of a new school. Just so you understand, when they talk about 6FE, 4FE, all that sort of thing, a 4FE school is about 600, I think, students. A 6FE, I think, is about 900. Okay, and they said a 6FE school, right, which I think at the moment our plan is for a 4 with the potential to move to a 6, is far more likely to gain approval by DFE, so Department for Education. The issue is that KCC would need to query whether a 6FE school is going to attract sufficient students to make it financially viable. And then it says, it would appear currently there's insufficient demand for a 6FE school, but it's highly likely the situation will change in the future, right? Because more people, yeah? But this bit is what I want you to pay attention to, particularly following publication and implementation of the Sevenoaks local plan, right? This is another document. This one is much more up to date. This is the 2024 to 2028 Commissioning Plan for Education Provision in Kent. Page 93. No decisions can be made until the local plan is published. But it is possible that the solution lies in Edenbridge, where there is a site that could be available for a new secondary school. The commissioning of a new school in Edenbridge depends on the viability of the new school. Currently, there's insufficient demand. This is 2024 to 2028. In Edenbridge and its environs to support a new secondary school. However, if sufficient new housing was outlined in the new local plan, KCC will then again consider a new school in Edenbridge. So I ask you, what's the price of the new school? Is it 1,534 houses? I'll leave that there. I think it's your turn.
Okay, this is actually a photograph taken from that Four Elms site, because there is some query in people's minds whether this is a poorly, weakly performing piece of greenbelt, and it's not. The actual ARUP report states the majority of this site is strongly performing greenbelt, and it's actually a beautiful site, so that's why we're so concerned about it. We believe that this site is so key to the infrastructure of Edenbridge that it should not have been removed from the local plan. And there is inconsistency about how this site has been treated compared to, say, the quarry site in Sevenoaks. Based on the fact that the secondary school in Edenbridge is contingent on decisions made in the local 2040 plan, we believe that planning decisions for this site should be deferred until the local plan has been agreed. We will be submitting a response to the public consultation by Friday of this week. That's the closing date, so members of the public can still respond with their thoughts on this Four Elms site, and we would encourage you to do so. The details of that site are at the back of the room as well. But yeah, we will be putting in a response to the public consultation. I will say that we did meet with Provision, which Debbie mentioned, and it was a very productive and informative meeting, and we will be feeding more information out from that meeting. Right, a survey led by the Kent Wildlife Trust and Bug Life measured the count of squash bugs on number plates and showed a 78% decline in bug splats on number plates since 2004. It's raised a smile, but actually it's really quite serious. Conservationists warned that dramatic falls in flying insects were a red flag to the state of nature in the UK and could not be ignored. David Attenborough actually said that the bugs and insects could get on pretty well without us and they'd probably thrive. But we are dependent on them, and it would be extinction for us if they disappear. So the decisions that are made today will impact on generations to come. And the question is, can we save our green belt and have development as well?